tonight ain't drunk. Can you?
You are listening to the Doug Stanhope Podcast.
Hey, this is Doug Stanhope. This is part 2 of the Alaska podcast with Doran and Billy and Matt Becker and other people that come and go. And if you haven't heard the first part, listen to that first and then come back to this one. And enjoy!
Pass me the lampshade, I'm drunk again. Blew my drug money on a quart of gin. Well, I am a cultured man with tastes discriminating, but I'll settle for a tall glass of anything. Well, am I the only one drinking tonight? The only one drinking tonight.
I can repeat myself now. That's all right. If you missed it the first time, as a comedian, you get used to repeating what you just said in the first show. I would love to be sponsored by any plastic jug vodka.
How about just a plastic jug?
Well, in the that's yeah. And
They're
we put
very
a
big.
shittier. We put an even shittier vodka in the plastic jug. Unlike the recent scandal where they caught these New Jersey bars putting
TGF Friday.
plastic jug into a Kettle One vodka. I'll put bathtub vodka into a plastic jug, Pop-Off, Wolf Schmidt, Vitali bottom shelf vodka.
But that was TGF Fridays that did that.
Barton, charcoal filtered. Well, yeah, it's TGI Fridays. Anyway,
No, that's why I hate franchises. That's why I like Chilkoot Charlie's. Is
because individuals don't do shit. It's always the corporations. you
no, but we wouldn't do
goddamn liberal.
it 13 times. We only have 10 bars.
My grandfather used to marry the liquor off at my dad's bars.
Hang
in
on,
the
Doran
60s.
Powell, owner of Chilkoot Charlie's up here in Anchorage, Alaska.
He'd come in for 2 hours a day and marry the liquor off. And what you do, you don't pour 100% Bartons into Grey Goose. You blend it off. You go like 60-40, or Tanqueray has very distinctive taste, and so you blend it down about 50%. But there are special brands
This
that are
is the
made.
guy, you learned this from the guy who put 7-Up in a champagne bottle?
Yeah, the fact is, my dad and Mike Gordon both went to high school together. And
Mike Gordon is the
owner of
majority
Chilkoot.
owner now. Used to be your dad's partner. You bought in. That's all you knew.
My dad was never partners with Mike, and they would never be partners. They used to say that if they ever agreed,
It's enough to keep the audience up. Let's not
if they ever
divulge into minutiae.
They were both in the industry, and they used to say if they ever agreed on anything, they both knew they were wrong.
I like that. I like that. So they would dilute 60-40
So my
on.
grandfather would spend 2 hours a morning, and he would use a Crown Royal bottle until the label wore off. They would threaten to fire a bartender if they cracked a fresh bottle of VO. And there are brands that are made out there, Canadian Mist, that are made to blend into Canadian whiskey that are similar tasting just because the Canadian Mist runs $115 a case and the Crown's $400 a case. And you can blend off 3 or 4 cases a week in a small bar.
So Becker, as the best bartender in the world, and no doubt at Chilkoot Charlie's, how would you cheat the customer if the days were the same?
Oh, back in those days, I would use, instead of Captain Morgan's, I just used vanilla extract. Because that's the only thing.
But you do a card trick right in front of them, so they weren't even
absolutely.
tasting.
But an amazing card trick.
Becker,
The fact is, at Coots today, if you order a Jack Daniels, you get a Jack Daniels.
right.
It's 100%.
let's talk about Becker, because Becker has a better show as a bartender than I have as a comedian. Describe the Birdhouse. Well, it holds how many?
No,
people?
there's a history. to the
About as much as
Birdhouse.
this bus.
Well,
Absolutely.
thanks for the listening audience. You spelled it out for him completely.
You said short bus.
Yeah, like a short bus. It holds
No,
about.
I think it's
people?
Well,
It's standing
45 is the
capacity.
capacity on the
And it
wall.
probably seats 15, 12
right
at
yeah.
the bar
Right.
with enough people to stand around and see the bar. It's at an angle.
It's in a round. It's at
The
a
Birdhouse-
45-degree angle.
The Birdhouse was a legendary bar in Alaska back in the 40.
Oh, yeah, the 50s and 60s. Gordon owned it back in the late 60s.
And then the earthquake hit.
And, well, actually, the reason it was sinking into the ground was because of the quake. But Gordon sold it, and they moved into town and opened coots. And
Tell
the saying
people
was,
at the home, it's the sinking into the ground that makes
up in
this.
Alaska, we've got a thing called permafrost, and it's about 4 feet down the ground. The ground's permanently frozen. But if you install a building in the ground, it'll transmit heat, and the ground thaws, and it turns into mush. It's like trying to build a building on a swamp.
Quicksand. It's
all right,
quicksand.
Let me do it. There was a bar that was a legendary bar, but it sank at an angle. So the bar, if you put a beer bottle on the bar, it will slide to the low end of the bar. It's at that much of an angle.
Yeah, the whole building was collapsing down into
Slowly,
the ground.
not overnight.
Right.
I
But
mean,
they kept drinking in there.
Right.
It's like the old joke. And firemen rush into a bar that's on fire. They pull out an Irishman. They go, "How did this thing get started?" He goes, "I don't know. It was burning when I walked in." So people would continue to go to this bar, even though it was sinking at such an incredible angle that you're diagonal sitting at a bar.
They used to say if you could put the Birdhouse on wheels and take it into Anchorage, you'd make $1 million. And so that's what the original
That's what you
Coots was
did.
all about.
That's what you did. You rebuilt it exactly the way it was as an attachment to Chilkoot Charlie.
hold on, it burned down.
Yeah.
It burned to the ground in like 95, I think.
96. So that's when it
96.
came
We bought
out.
the rights back to it and rebuilt it in Spenard.
But here's the deal: is Doug and I
Well,
came
you
up.
recreated it.
We came up
Recreated.
the week after it burned down. 'Cause
I was,
that was when we came up to do the anniversary show.
Let's
it
not
is-
get.
no.
All right, we're getting way
So,
off track. The point
they
is,
actually-
this is where Becker works. Is
They-
the bar that used to be the Birdhouse.
It's a
in-
recreation of the Birdhouse, and Matt has brought it forward into the new decade. But the fact is, when we built it, they reprinted the bumper stickers. They went so far. They tore the floor out 3 times to get their angle right on the floor. The city code doesn't allow you to build something at a 45-degree angle because people
Unless it's
fall
historic.
down. No, we had to build it square and get the city to sign off on it, and then we tore it all out and screwed it up, fucked it up. Now it's legal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's
Somehow
official.
that makes sense. I'm trying to get to what Becker has created in the Birdhouse, because Becker, again, one of the funniest people I've ever met, the funniest person I've ever met. Even my manager says Becker's the funniest person I've ever, and he doesn't laugh. His catchphrase is, "I don't like fun." That's my Scottish accent, but I don't like fun. But Becker is to gadgetry. We already covered that. But you'll have a dildo on a squirt gun and sell shots of tequila through a dildo.
Right. No, and that's the thing. But you got to remember, I went into it knowing first not that I was a bartender, and second,
You're a comedian and
second,
someone needs
that
a drink.
You can stay home and drink. I never understand that. It was like people can stay home and drink. If you can do what you're doing at a bar at home
By yourself.
you should be there.
Yeah.
Right.
So we better offer something different. And if I wave a
you do.
dildo in your girlfriend's face or do a card trick that you go, "Oh wow, I think I lost at poker that same way," I go, "You might have, but you learned something."
In the when Becker and I were first going out on the road doing tribble gigs, which are the most miserable Montana drive 8 hours to the next gig for $100 and free celery sticks at the happy hour buffet, Becker would show up with a sport coat on. This is just one that I remember. He'd have everything I remember he'd take a can of butane, he'd have it in one sport coat pocket, run PVC piping up the sleeve, through his shoulder, down the other sleeve, and just sit and wait for a girl to pull out a cigarette. So he could light it for her. "You want a light?" And with his hidden arm, he'd hit the can of butane, hit the lighter arm with the tube coming out at the wrist, and shoot a line of fire 2 feet long out of a Bic lighter. Terrify everybody in the bar.
But
then just go,
hysterical.
yeah, and he'd have a million of these gadgets on him all the time. We used to play a game called Walk the Dancer, where a lot of in those days shit comedy rooms in Butte, Montana, or Idaho Falls,
Limelight.
Pocatello, it would turn into a dance club after the comedy. So everyone rushes in to go do line dancing and shit. So we really have no game after the comedy audience is gone, but we still want to get pussy. So we'd play Walk the Dancer Well, the game was you'd bet a beer, which is a lot of money back in those days.
On a
Even
triple
just
run, yeah.
a beer when we're that broke. And we'd each get a girl to dance, agree to dance, and we bring them on the dance floor at the same time.
You're going up straight though. You're not.
Yeah,
It's not
just,
letting
hey,
on.
would you
It's
like to
hey,
dance?
Hey, hi.
And
yeah.
you
We
make
had
sure-
rules. I mean,
Yeah, there were 2 rules. The object of the game is to dance so poorly that your partner walks off the dance floor in embarrassment. Whoever can get their person off the dance floor first wins. And the only 2 rules were no physical.
no physical touching them in any way,
Sure,
or
verbal.
or verbal.
No
You couldn't-
physical or verbal
obviously, if you
abuse.
use the C word, they'd be like, oh,
Yeah, no abuse, verbally or physically.
But you had to just and the best part is even though you want to win, you still wanted to dance so poorly. They went, no, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave.
That's when we stopped, is when there was enough carryover from comedy that oh, wait, you were at the show? Well, this doesn't work because you think I'm being goofy and I'm going to stay all night and I can only dance so long. I'm a smoker. But I remember Becker beat me once by flossing his teeth on the dance floor.
With the jacket, I had butane and I had floss.
And I'm like, how do you have floss on you? He's going through his pockets. There's a rubber glove. There's a stapler. There's a can of butane. There's dental floss. Like but there was some method to his madness. There was nothing random in there. There's something in there just in case. A-team style. All right, what do you need a bazooka? Well, just in case.
You'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, I
flossing
almost
was
did
the
that.
greatest because she started when I first pulled it out. She's like, "What?" And then it was, "Oh my God!"
And then Becker says, do you remember? What, you don't believe in good dental hygiene? I bought a beer.
Yep, and I got a beer out of that.
All right, Doran, unless you have some, you keep taking note. Well, he left now.
My relief is relieving himself.
Yeah, Billy Bad is next up. But you stay close because I want you to chime in on these stories.
We can keep him here. We got enough.
All right,
No,
mics.
yeah.
Billy's walking in. Did you have something you were about to start?
No, I went fishing recently with a guy that had this $1 million yacht, and I luckily got invited to go on this little cruise, and he takes me up into the captain's position, 4 stories up from the bow of the deck, and he goes, "Well, you've been at Coots a long time. You probably got a good story. What's your best story at Coots?" I go, "Well, that'd be the night we banned Butt Bongo as a promotion at Coots." And Butt Bongo was something that Stearns used to do. You pull the girl's pants down and you lay her over your lap and you play salsa. You play bongos on her ass to salsa music.
Yeah.
And we were sponsored by
It's Miller.
a Miller
Yeah.
Miller Genuine Draft.
No, they were printing T-shirts.
We
and
got
everything. It
the
was-
highlight. The winner got a jacket, but all the the semifinalists got T-shirts. And so
Well,
there were big prizes.
To be
involved.
fair, not a leather jacket, like a tavern jacket, like corduroy. I mean, we weren't really all in.
Pleather.
Bob Lester was the MC, and Bob took it to areas. He took it to regions we just never thought we could go. We had a girl that came up on stage, and she was a good-looking girl, and she didn't have a drummer. She needed someone to drum her ass, her naked ass, in front of the crowd to salsa music. And so Bob calls out to the crowd, "Who will be this girl's partner?" And this guy raises his hand, and he's got a military haircut. And Bob says, "What branch of the service you from, sir?" He says, "I'm a Marine." All right, come on up here. And so he sits down and pulls her pants down, and she's got her panties on. She's a quiet Catholic girl on stage in front of Coots playing butt bongo. And he lays her over his lap, and out of nowhere comes this knife. He just pulls this knife out of his back pocket, and he cuts her underwear off. And the crowd just goes, "Oh, my God." And the security rushes forward, and the guy puts the knife away, and Bob's like, "Oh, it's all right, it's all right. He's just playing along." And so security sort of takes a step back. And they start the music, and he reaches down, and he grabs baby oil that was on stage from a prior act, and he just hoses this girl's ass down with baby oil. And
I won't ask what the prior act is. I don't want to
No, we had baby oil, we had whipped cream, we had
cream.
other things that you could spray on them as you were.
All right, go ahead.
We got
Go ahead.
we got away
Go
from
ahead.
the Stern version.
All right.
and so
Oh, it's completely original now. Go ahead.
So instead of bongoing her ass, he's just sort of lecherously rubbing her ass slowly, like, and Bob's on the mic, and Bob's like, he waits a little bit, and the crowd starts booing. He's like, "Come on, dude, it's butt bongo. It's not butt rubby. Let's do something."
Drill,
here."
baby, drill.
And so, as he's rubbing her ass, he takes his middle finger and slides it down the crack of her ass, right up her ass, on stage in front of the crowd, penetrates this girl. She stands up, and she turns and she slaps him. And, security rushes the stage for real this time. We handcuff him. She runs backstage. I'm mortified. The crowd is just is all upset out there and screaming and yelling. And I go backstage, and the girl's standing there, and she's got her pants around her ankles. She's got a bar towel, and she's cleaning the baby oil out from the crack of her ass. And I tell her, I said, "Look, we've got him in
call
cuffs.
a cab instinctually.
We've got him in custody. If you want to press charges, we can press charges. Whatever you want to do." And she looks at me over her shoulder, and she says, "No, it's okay. We're in the finals."
See, these sound like that sounds like a book joke.
I know.
Did you ever hear the one about the girl with the bongo and the? Well, it's okay. We're the aristocrats. We're in the finals. And these are fucking good stories.
It's why I moved here.
For a corduroy jacket. Men's size.
And that's where Joe Francis goes, I can get him to do it for a T-shirt and be a millionaire.
Well, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Did it?
Well, no, I always said that he would be owned by lawyers by the time he's 40, and it's about that time, and I'm almost right. But we'll be right back after this pouring of a cocktail. This break brought to you by nitrous oxide ice and plastic bottled vodka. Hi, this is Doug Stanhope for the Alaska Tourism Board. If you're ever in Anchorage, go see Chilkoot Charlie's, the biggest bar in Anchorage, and the owner, Doran, has the longest balls in the world, and he wears Saks underpants. That's right, Saks underpants.
Yeah, I'm obsessed.
Ladies love them. I can't even do a regular drop without a lady yelling, "Long balls, I love them, I'm from Anchorage." And long bald men wear Saks underpants.
You're listening to the Doug Stanhope Podcast, broadcasting from Anchorage, Alaska, and Chilkoot Charlie's.
All right, right now we're back from the Alaska podcast or possibly Alaska series. We have to sit back and sober check a lot of these things to make sure no one has been defamed, libeled, or divorced because of what we said when we were drinking. This is Doug Stanhope, and this is my podcast, 7 Drinks In. I'd use that as a title, except I'd have to change it because I'm such a snob about being factually correct. But if we were 12 drinks in, I go, I can't use 7 drinks in on a 12-drink podcast. I'd look like a liar. So, yeah, we're here in Alaska, the home of the best stories ever, which I could do an Alaska podcast series of just the shit that's happens it was 20 years almost, 18 years I've been coming up here, and they're always the most ridiculous, crazy stories. Even now, when I slept for 15 hours last night, a fitful 15-hour triple dose of Xanax sleep, still waking up going, I'm missing something. I think I'm going to die if I stay awake.
No, we made excuses for you because Colleen was playing last night, and I knew that there's no way this recording was going to take place unless you got 15 hours of straight sack time. There's absolutely possible that you would not be even recording right now.
Yeah, and I didn't come up to do the show. I came up
to podcast.
To hang
clearly,
on podcast,
clearly.
Yeah. So now we've already talked to Doran, the owner, even if that happens to be a later episode, because we have to introduce Alaska's most eligible bachelor. He was always known. He's got a gal now, but every other girl's just waiting for her to get AIDS or die or something, because you're still the
Not in
hottest.
that order.
Billy Bad is still the fucking baddest man in America.
How do you get AIDS after you die?
Well, there's
no, it's possible.
There's people with predilections, and let's not. Didn't you ever see that movie about Haiti where they raised the dead? What was that movie? Forget it.
Pet Cemetery.
It's kind of like that.
Field of Dreams?
Yeah. If you're a racist and you look at Haitians as subhumans, the theory would still be the same. It's kind of like that too. But now we have who used to always be known as Alaska's most eligible bachelor, Billy Bad. When I did hallucinogens, which is most of my life, just sporadically now, but every time I tripped, there were two people that were the king and queen of every trip that I would try to high dial when I was in the depths of a hallucinogen. And Colleen was the queen of the trip, and Billy was the king. They were people that I looked up to as, let's say, spiritual advisors. People like when you know you're tripping hard and you need someone strong to get you through a weird part. Billy, is everything okay? Don't worry, buddy. You're going to be fine.
You could work a phone?
He just had... What, when you're tripping?
Yeah.
How many fucking high dials have I gotten from Alaska?
I just
from
assumed you had
people-
someone else dialing or I mean, I didn't.
Well, maybe I did. I don't remember.
Oh, that's true.
I remember it was like, oh, get Billy.
But
picked- you
it was always
I don't want to
this-
say a father figure.
No, you
'cause
picked
that-
the two perfect people to call. At
But
that
it was
moment.
the security blanket.
People who were on top of their shit mentally that could talk you off any ledge that you trusted implicitly. And I don't even put Becker. I'll put Becker in the funniest person I know.
Yeah, but I would be
mental
horrible for
stability-
that.
Oh no,
I would be horrible.
When it comes to mental stability, you can always trust. Even if Billy's losing his shit, he has this face of I can conquer anything. At his own worst personal moment, he still has his shit together. Billy bad, and you're still kind of beautiful.
See, that's how long they've known each other.
Well, no, there's the part of me when I get drunk and abusive where I go, well, you're kind of bloated now. Versus things that I could throw them under the bus professionally. You go, oh, I'm not going to do that. So we'll go with you're a bloated fat fuck. You're not really fat and you're full of testosterone. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I was telling Billy in Costa Rica last time I saw him that I have no sex drive whatsoever. And he goes, there's things you could take for that. And I go, why would you want to? Like, why would you want to create a need that you don't already have? Billy's a bull. He wants to fuck all the time. That's his nature. But to try to counsel me, well, like if you didn't have to eat, think of the money you'd save.
Yours would be like a billboard for fruit.
But there's
That if you
needs
could
that
encourage kids to eat fruit, but why would you create that billboard? Kids are going to eat it or not, but the idea of forcing them to eat fruit sounds dangerous.
I had a great example of a need that you're creating that you don't already have, but it's lost now. The point is, you're a monster. You're a hero. Let's bring that out. I don't want to. Do you want to open with that? Should we open with that?
I think
Yeah,
we're
let's open
scrapping
with that.
everything up until now anyway. So
Billy,
go ahead.
Billy. Well, no. Not if you listen to it back. I was very fucking delicate.
No,
on
you
that.
were delicate.
Shut up.
You were.
Billy, you just made national news recently as a fireman. You used to be a bar manager at Coots, and then you went into the hero profession, and you just got fucked. Yeah, fire. They didn't beat you, but that was a tie. If this was hockey, they do have a tie. You didn't have to go to the death. All right, tell us the story about your misadventure with fire.
Misadventure with fire. Well, I work as a firefighter here in the city, and we typical day got banged out to go to a structure fire, and went there and.
When I do this, that means eat the mic or talk loud.
Eat the mic or talk louder.
There you go. Perfect.
There you go.
Okay. Went to a structure fire, pulled some hose, went inside to fight fire, and then had a roof collapse on top of me. We had the biggest snowfall ever.
For the people who don't, what was this? Was it a house?
Yeah, it was a structure,
All right.
residence. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So went inside. We had the largest snowfall we've had in 20 years here. And,
Were there people in the place?
No, it was empty at the time. Which, yeah.
You didn't have to go double hero.
Yeah. Just
Not
wanted,
totally
just
empty.
wanted to put the fire
Not totally
out.
empty. Yeah,
There was one guy
there was
under
one
it.
guy.
One guy went in to make sure the light switches were off.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering why everybody else stood outside while I went in. So I went in. I thought I had the fire out for the most part, and I did. And about that time, I heard a loud creaking sound and knew things were going to get bad. And then it collapsed on me. So
The whole house.
The roof. The roof.
car
of
part?
Yeah,
Well, that's pretty much the whole house.
yeah. They said the investigator said there were.
It's not like the second floor was still standing and the roof was
Right.
on. Yeah, that's
The
fucking house.
investigator said there were 6,000 to 9,000 pounds on top of me, and fortunately for me, they called in all the.
Which the Billy I knew would go, I can bench that.
One arm.
Well, I was lucky to have a lot of good guys on scene, and they got me out in about 20 minutes, and I don't remember much about it. I was kind of out of it.
And it
So,
fucked you up. What were the injuries?
I had broken left leg, torn ligaments in my right knee, bulging discs in my neck, burns on my back, broken rib. Yeah, that's enough.
And you lost your watch.
And a lot.
That one hurt the worst.
Let's be honest. If you're going to drop a roof on your head, do it in front of the fire department. They walk over to the truck. They get the lift the roof kit out of the fire truck and lift the house back up.
Yeah, but they debate it first due to budget cuts.
Inside political humor right here. It's like the Capitol steps, but it's just the capital of Alaska. Well, Billy's like, you take these chances anyway and make really stupid choices with your own body.
Yeah.
It's not, and Billy's not like a badass. Keep in mind, Billy is the smiling badass at the bar. Earlier, we talked about, hopefully in the same podcast, if we have to break him up, he's the guy that jumped over the bar when the guy with the loaded 45s was coming at me. Jackie Trinkus going, get out of the way. I'm like, fuck this, I'm watching. And Billy Bat.
This is before Netflix.
Billy Bat is the guy that calmly at 6 o'clock at night went over and just calmly talked a guy out of shooting him with 2 loaded 45s in each hand. But Billy Bat, I remember the hot tub story is the most horrifying description of, and this wasn't you trying to save a burning structure or a baby. This was just you trying
in-laws were
to being
coming.
a badass and move a hot tub by yourself. You didn't want to trouble no one to say, hey, get half of this. I can't really do this on my own.
Yeah.
So you tried to unload a hot tub from a truck?
Yeah, no, I was trying to get a hot tub on the truck and out of the cabin, and yeah, I tried to do it by myself and
How
yank
much
it
did
up.
that weigh?
I don't know. It was heavy.
Let's say 6,000 to 9,000 pounds.
Yeah,
About
sure.
the same as
Yeah.
a burning structure.
Yeah, burning structure.
Yeah, about that time. Yeah, so I had it up at about a 45-degree angle and was rocking it back and forth, and I thought once it came down, I'd be able to heave it back up again, and when I did that, it snapped the bicep tendon in my right arm.
It snapped the bicep tendon in your right arm, but the way you described what that's like was like a rubber band being pulled to its most taut,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, that's what
snapping and springing back up.
In your
You're
arm.
not, what's that bone? Not your femur, but your arm femur.
The humerus.
Humerus.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah.
I think of it like a shade that you pull down all the way and you let go and it starts flapping. at the top.
Yeah, like
Greg,
the old.
no, Greg,
the old
swear to
Venetian
God,
blind.
that's exactly what it was like too. It
Yeah.
literally, I watched it coil up in my arm, and it was like zzz,
He
like
watched it
this. It was
coil up in his arm.
Yeah.
Then he lifted the hot tub into the truck with his feet.
Somewhere from the back of the room in the audience of Billy's mind, someone goes, try lefty.
And you're out of your cabin, so there's nothing.
Yeah,
I was
it's in the
I was,
middle of nowhere.
Well, it was our kid's birthday the coming weekend, and I was trying to get up there and get everything cleaned up, and I was out there by myself, and I was probably about a 12-pack in, and so I'm out there, and it snapped, and my arm's turning purple, and so I started calling some friends to find out what the best course of action was going to be, because I wasn't driving anywhere, and I was a couple hours away from town, so.
12-pack is enough to cause it, but not enough to cure it. Yeah.
Well, did you call your friend like Stevie? No, this is sorry. This is just a perfect segue into my notes because there's another story where you probably had more than a 12-pack.
Yeah.
And our good friend Bart, who may or may not show up tonight, you guys are all getting shit-faced.
Yeah.
Correct any of the setup if it's too wrong, but you're all shit-faced, and you guys like to wrestle when you're drunk. So Stevie, another badass. You and Bart, who's not even a badass, but he'll get in there and spar. He's scrappy. So you end up dislocating his shoulder as far as you know.
As far as we know, yeah.
And ow, ow, ow.
Yeah, well, we like to play this game when we got really tattered. Like when you were a kid, you lay on your back.
It's called "There's no chicks here. Let's beat each other up rather than fuck."
And you try to launch. You lay on your back, and then your buddy lays on the bottom of your feet, and you try to launch him in the air as high as they can go.
Vaulted ceilings.
Yeah. So we this is like 3 or 4 in the morning. We decided to do this with Bart, and we launched him up in the air, and he came down to this really awkward position, but he went really high, which was awesome. When he landed, he let out this really weird kind of girly scream that I'd never heard before, and then he rolled over, and we thought he was kidding, and he was like, "Oh my God!" And then after we joked for a little bit, we realized he wasn't kidding. So Stevie,
that's how I got my jaw broke when I was 13. I would always fake pain because my big brother would beat me up, and he had me in a chokehold, and I passed out, and I went limp, and he goes, "Oh, you're faking it like you always do," and let me go on a cement floor. But I wasn't there to block the fall, so broke my jaw. So I do the Bart thing. I was the little guy. He did the Bart thing.
He did the
Bart
Bart
he
thing.
was not kidding this time.
No, he wasn't kidding. And you know how Bart is. And when he started acting like that, we were like, "Yeah, whatever." But then you realize, wow, he's not playing around. So Stevie at the time, who was an active duty fireman, and I was a wannabe back then. But Stevie decided that, well, he's got a dislocated shoulder, so I've got this cool little nifty trick, and we'll try to pop it back into place. And so we laid Bart, who's squealing the whole time. We laid him up on the counter.
Squeal for me, Bart.
We laid him up on the counter in the kitchen, and
I just want you talking into the head of the mic because Chaille's not here right now. I don't want to miss this because it's a great story.
So Stevie calls friends of his who are in the medical profession, and he's talking to them about how should we handle this. We've got dislocated shoulder, and so they're telling them how to do this. And so we start yanking on Bart's shoulder, trying to pop it back into place, and he is squealing bloody murder the whole time. And we keep trying, and man, it's not getting any better at all. So eventually we got him to the hospital later that night. And
did you have, first of all, because you're drunk, did you have someone dump him out in front of the emergency room and peel out?
No, we picked the soberest person at the party and had
soberest.
Soberest.
Again, Alaska.
No one's driving.
Well, you're not going to find a sober person. We'll go with soberest. It's Alaska.
Yeah, soberest person, and then took him into the hospital, and the doctor came out later and told the person that had brought Bart in that Bart, yes, indeed had a dislocated shoulder, but he also had a broken humerus.
Humerus!
Which is the upper arm bone that we had been yanking on the whole time.
Trying to get his arm back in place, but it snapped in half.
And he was squealing. I mean, the guy was in horrible
What
pain.
would it do if we yanked on a broken humerus bone?
See, but that's the thing about Billy. Billy is such a cool-headed, smart, on top of. He's whatever shit's going down, you assume Billy's on top of it. He's got your back. So if I would never look at Billy with a broken arm going, "You might be wrong on this one." I'd go, "Wow, I guess a dislocated shoulder hurts worse than I thought because it feels like my bone's coming through my skin." But it's Billy, so I trust you implicitly. Yeah, I wouldn't even correct them if it was, "Oh, it's moving right here," says Kimmy. "Hey, it's moving right here." Don't question. I went to a doctor in L.A. where Becker and I used to live because I used to do a joke about how something about I'm afraid of passing my liver like a stillborn, where your liver hurts to the touch, and then it started happening where I thought, oh, my liver really does hurt to the touch. Every now and again, I would get this pain.
Puffy.
So I went to a doctor that I could afford, where I lived in a Russian area of West Hollywood, where they have all these like mom and pop doctors, and it's the one closest to me. So I go in and I go, something's fucked up with my liver. I remember the Russian lady doctor said, "Do you drink? Do you drink?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "What do you drink?" And I said, "Well, mostly beer." And she said, "Don't drink beer, drink vodka." Like, is this a doctor, really? So they did that, like, kind of like what they do with the baby, where they put gel on you, like an ultrasound kind of thing. But they're doing it way up here by my ribs. And I'm thinking, that's not where it hurts. But in my head, I'm thinking, that's not where my liver is, because that's not where it hurts. I assume where it hurts must be my liver, so I think they're wrong for looking in the wrong spot. Like, they don't know where a liver is. No, I don't know where a liver is. it was some kind of gastric thing, but in my head, I'm smarter than them because they're Russians and they told me to drink vodka instead of beer. They must also not. And then later I go, oh, wait, your liver is up there. I just looked online. So it wasn't my liver after all, and that's the good news.
And
Billy.
that's why you're still here.
All right.
Cha-ching.
Pipe bomb Barney.
Yeah.
Billy's birthday is on the 26th of December. So everyone has their Christmas shit and they have to work before or after. So the 26th, it was always the perfect time to come up for Christmas. Everyone does their family shit, but Billy's birthday's the day after. So we can all come up and celebrate Christmas on Billy's birthday. So we used to have these fucked up parties at Physician Willie's house, we'll say.
The car doctor.
I've actually used a euphemism for his nickname that no one knows. I'm burying you too deep in anonymity there, Doc. But we'd go and we'd just get fucked up, and there was costumes involved, and everyone dressed up and weird. I remember liquid latex G-string night. Some pictures of that with Betsy, but then the psychos of the bunch, which was Stevie, Billy, and Sean, I guess was part of that.
Yeah, Sean was part of that.
They brought out Barney was big at the time, so they made.
Yeah, Sean had come up with the idea that Barney's cool and he's all the rage, but he thought, how cool would it be if we could make Barney explode? So he came up with this thing called Pipe Bomb Barney, and he actually constructed, and Sean's smart enough, he created a pipe bomb and put it in the back of this giant Barney doll.
Which now, if you even Google how to make a pipe bomb, you're on a list.
Oh, yeah.
Back then,
I tried to Google pressure cooker Barney, and I almost went to jail.
Yeah, you just Google Barney Frank, and someone's got an eye on you.
Well, anyway, so Sean constructed this thing, and we got the nerve up at the party, and it kind of killed the party, but everybody was having a great time until
my party.
until Pipe Bomb Barney came out, and then Stevie was the only one with big enough huevos to run the detonation cord attached to the back of the Barney doll.
You have to understand, I have an actual irrational fear of balloons, where I have to overcome that just to do whippets off the nitrous tank, where I it's like when someone aims a rubber band in your face, and that's how I feel about balloons. Like, don't do it. I remember being in a Perkins where they'd do balloon animals on Sunday morning for the kids, and just kind of like, stop, it's gonna pop. So when I'm on ecstasy, and other people are bringing out pipe bombs, I'm like, this is fucking killing me. I remember when they brought the detonation cord out, I'm already hunkered down behind a leather couch indoors.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was kind of a buzzkill, but so they ran it out. Stevie ran the Barney out into the yard. There was like 3 feet of snow out there at that time, so he's trudging out there with the cord behind him.
So it was a mild winter.
Yeah, it was a mild winter. He puts the pipe bomb Barney down, goes back inside, and everybody immediately starts scrambling to hiding places, and everybody's getting down. And so we had a countdown from 10, and when it went off.
Which, if at one of those parties, anyone who can do it is the soberest guy to drive.
Count to
drop
10 backwards.
Bart
Yeah,
at the hospital.
That's the hardest part, is finding somebody that can do that.
But you're all watching this through like a big sliding glass window.
I wasn't watching.
Everybody was hiding.
I was
Everybody
literally
nobody
hunkered down like there was going to be some bunker buster that's about to happen.
Yeah, and nobody wanted to look, so everybody was hiding, and they were knelt down and had their.
We're in footy pajamas.
And
It's not a
G-strings.
time for TNT.
Yeah.
But
It
it's
was
like
the Kennedy assassination. You're the Warren Report.
it's like duck and cover. Everyone's down under a desk.
Right.
Like,
No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was like. So we had the countdown, and not really thinking this thing, not sure, not knowing if it was going to go off or not, but we had the countdown to 1, and it went off, and there was a big boom, and everybody was like, whoa, and then we got up and went outside, and Barney's head was left, and everything else had been blown across the yard into a million pieces. But so it was a success.
It was a success.
Yeah, it was good.
Back when that was fun.
Back when that was fun.
Back was,
And you Christians did it.
and then Billy became a hero and saw people with just their head left and said, "I should have never done that to Barney. I
my
should have never
God.
done that to Barney."
You
Now it's
remind me
real.
of so many stories.
Billy, you are a hero. You risk your life for any cause. Tell us about your hair transplant that almost cost your life.
You forgot to mention at the beginning that I'm probably one of the vainest guys on the planet too. But
No. See, what does that read? The bullet point is vanity.
it's on the notes. Awesome. Okay.
I don't know if you wanted to talk about it. We can dump it if you don't.
I don't care because I poke at myself all the time now.
But it's
about
not
it,
like
so.
no one.
No,
Has
I've told. Listen, I've told every guy at the fire department. Everybody knows about my hair.
Joe Rogan is like going, yeah, I had a million
Yeah,
shots.
yeah.
I thought I have hair for a limited time only. Let me try to keep it. And now he has scars around his head like you
Well,
do.
you remember the one time I came to LA and I
That's
had
the
it done.
one where you
and-
almost died.
Yeah, I got.
That's why I thought it was important to talk about.
I don't know this story.
I think maybe I caught it at your place because that's where I slept.
No, all my dirty stuff I did on the road. Home is clean as a
You
whistle.
know shit where you eat. Come on.
Did you have the Bandhouse soap there?
I can't remember the gal you were dating at the time.
Betsy.
No,
I think- no,
It
it's
was the girl from
Renee.
the head of the,
Renee.
no, it was the girl from head of the class.
It was Christine Hodge.
Yes, Christine it was the girl from head of the class. Yeah, I remember. So, and she was awesome. And I came and hung out with you. After my surgery, my head.
She was awesome to a point. She would never come up to Alaska for the Wiggy parties.
Well, it was her loss.
Yeah. No, it was a good thing she wasn't here. It would have killed the buzz. Yeah, pipe bomb Barney. She's actually calling 911 going, this is illegal.
Like no, yeah.
Before.
Anyway, so you came down. You were going to get your hair.
Yeah. I was going to get a hair transplant done, and I did. And so later that day, you and Christine came over to get me at the hotel to try to get me out of there just to go out and do something fun. And my head was kind of swelled up like a balloon, and I had this big oversized hat on trying to hide my large melon.
Back then, we didn't have the prescience to call it Ghost of Christmas Future. Now it's just your whole head. Back then, just the top parts.
No, you guys were great. You guys took me to a comedy show, and we had a few beers, and put me up for the night.
Macy's Parade.
Well, I got home, and a day or two later, I woke up in the middle of the night with like 104 fever and just dying. And my roommates took me to the hospital, and they found out that they had sutured in some hairs in my head that shouldn't have been there, and they got infected. And so I had this gigantic. My face looked like.
Well, we use ass hair, but not that close to the asshole. That's where we're wrong.
Well, Doran, I was supposed to have worked like that night, and my face looked like that. I had gained 50 pounds, literally. And Doran likes to say that it's the first time he's ever had anybody call in ugly. I couldn't go to work that night, so yeah, no, it was a nasty infection, and.
But yeah, you were close to. I don't know what the death.
Well,
there was some whatever the infection is
If you'd
called.
had staph infection thrown in there.
Yeah.
Well, no, can you imagine though?
Yeah,
I can
flesh
imagine-
eating.
No, the hilarity of dying from
No.
a hair transplant. You guys would have. It'd been comedy
no,
forever.
I always
Saving-
say I don't want to die ironically like that. I don't want to die from stepping on an AIDS needle on my way to get condoms.
He was
is the old joke.
he was running into a burning house when he stopped to comb his hair and died.
Yeah, I'm gonna look good on the front page of the paper after I save this baby.
The unbreakable comb still survives. Billy's dead.
I know it wasn't on your things to talk about, but it's something I remember. One of my best experiences with you was in Costa Rica when we decided to run with the bulls.
Oh
And you forgot. I've got a picture of you with your little matador, and we walked down that hardcore Costa Rican town. But I mean,
Well, Costa Rica, they do running with the. It's not like Pamplona. They do it like those backwoods
hammer up-
racetrack
yeah, right.
where they just any asshole with a Vega and a Cessna engine can enter themselves in.
they hammer up an arena
You
like
run-
with a few days, with 2x4s and nails.
You
And
crawl
anyone-
through the fence with a beer.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a
Oh,
thing
yeah.
where like anyone's segregated. Like,
Well, no,
hold on,
anyone
there's too
can
many
get in.
people in there.
Yeah, anyone can get in. It's part running with the bulls, part bullfighting. So it's set up like bullfighting, but any drunken asshole in the world can just wander in and it's fine.
They don't say no.
They
or
want you to get
whatever that
gored.
is in
There's
Spanish.
no table where you sign a release.
Right.
Yeah.
There's basically two guys running around the entire bull ring that's
No.
constructed in a day.
No, it's like 70 guys.
But they're hammering nails back in that have worked themselves out from the previous day's events.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, well, Doug and I went there with the girls, and we were half in the bag when we went there. And at one point, Doug was sitting next to me, and he goes, "Hey, so we're gonna do this?" And I said, "Do what?" He goes, "We're gonna go out there with those guys." And I'm like, "Oh, are you out of your mind, dude? I'm not going to run with the bulls." He goes, "Yeah, come on, but we can't tell the girls." So Doug and
Well,
I
they'll stop you. They have sense.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Fuck them.
exactly. And we already stick out like a turd in a punch bowl because we're the only gringos in the whole crowd.
And
right?
Doug is wearing.
Well,
And Doug's got his
a
Fisher Price
sequined matador
Fisher Price
kind of vest
yes.
I found in a thrift store, and I like, this is perfect for Costa Rica in case we go to the Bulls. We did this the first time with Becker. I'll get to that story, but go ahead.
we call it the Johnny Bravo jacket. It reminds me of like the Brady Bunch
Johnny
with Greg.
Bravo.
Yeah.
But
Exactly
I
right.
think
I
like,
have that jacket.
I realized. I think that was actually kind of thumbing the nose at the locals.
I did.
because-
I did get booed if you don't
Yes.
remember, because they want an American to get gored,
Yeah.
but they take that whole bullfighting shit seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Where I
Yeah.
just think, I hope you all die because I'm on the side of the bull. So with me wearing a bullfighter jacket as a drunken American, I roundly booed for walking out there.
Oh no, we walked down the street in that town, and I was walking behind Doug, and all the locals were giving him the stink eye. But so we're sitting there, and Doug tells the girls at one point, he goes, "Hey, we're gonna go to the bathroom. We'll be back in a minute." So that's the cue. So we get up and we go down behind the bleachers, and here's Doug and I like commando crawling under the bleachers to get to the
ring.
to the ring, and then so we crawl through there. And I remember Cheryl had told me at one point, she said, "We didn't know where you guys went," and then we looked up on and they actually had if you can believe it, had a jumbotron there. She said, "We looked up, and there you guys were on the jumbotron because everybody was booing." And so Doug and I go out there. And
What's
then
hero in Spanish?
no,
Boo! I think it's boo.
it's boo, and then to show their appreciation, they throw rotten fruit at you because Doug and I were out there, and fruit like rotten stuff started raining down on us.
there
and
were
I-
cups flying. I
Oh
remember that.
man, yeah, no, they were throwing a lot of
They
lot
eat
of shit
brown
at us.
bananas in Costa Rica. I'm not saying it was rotten.
But I got to tell you, Doug and I were the only
And
ones.
it's a currency, I believe, too.
Yeah.
I think they were throwing money at us, and you just don't know the local custom.
People were running from the bull, and they were running from you two.
Well, I got to tell you, Doug and I,
Rotten
Doug and
Carmen
I,
Miranda's.
Doug, the local matadors, they were drunk, but I tell you, they were all hanging back and acting like they were going to run up and do something. But they hung way far back. Doug and I were the only ones stupid enough to running up behind the bull and slapping the bull on the ass, and then running around it, and the bull spinning around trying to catch us. And we were the only ones dumb enough to actually have some fun with it, and probably almost die. But
Well, here's it, and this is what I would call the Joe Rogan effect. The first time I did that was with Becker. The first time we went to Costa Rica, it was not a big festival like the one you and I were at. Becker and I just happened to find this place, getting away from the chicks who I think stayed home. I think it was just you and me.
Yeah, and Becky said anything but hookers.
Okay.
And we went, oh,
Yeah.
all right.
So we saved that for another excursion. No, just kidding. We went and we just found this. We were just looking for a bar in town in Capos, and we happened on a bullfighting smaller affair, and I talked Becker into it the same way I talked you into it, only I was lead man with Becker. He's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, you go first. Just like the transvestite hooker. Okay, you go first. I'll be right there. And I go in there, and I'm drunk enough. I swear I'm a horse whisperer, and that bull just made eye contact like I could pet it. And yeah, it didn't come anywhere near us, fortunately, or maybe it did.
No, it did. No.
It came close enough. I ran like a pussy.
But you also used to dive under the fence, which is how you die.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
instead of going over the fence, because the bull
Oh, yeah.
will gore you on the ground.
Yeah.
I kept telling you.
I low crawled under. That was my. They told me that's a rookie mistake.
Rookie move.
But when I did it with you, see, I've already done it with Becker, who was smart and hung like a pussy behind me. I'm point man. Well, now I have
that bull had a huge dick.
Now
just like the transvestite hooker.
Now I have Joe Rogan syndrome, where Rogan's a badass. So if I go at Rogan and shit goes poorly, boo all you want, because he's gonna fight first. I'm gonna make him. He's a big guy. He's a hero. He can bench press 6,000 pounds of fire.
I tell you, I've never been more. We got out of there, and I've never been more adrenalized and scared at the same time. Like the reality that we just did that and had a bull chasing us around, and we had a whole race of people booing us and throwing rotten fruit at us. I was like, the whole, it hit me.
You know, it's all in how you dress. Yeah. If I had just gone in there with one of those baseball caps with a beer holder on each side and straws going into my face, they'd be going, yay, because they know we're getting gored first. I go in there with bravado with a thrift store.
Johnny Bravo jacket.
Yeah. It's,
well, you walk down the town like you own the place with your jacket, though, because I was walking behind you, and I was like, wow, that's
Joe Rogan
that's a huge
effect.
set of nuts,
I'm right
man.
behind you.
I was behind you, and I was like, you were walking down like you owned
Either
the
way,
place.
in my head, I go, I'm badass because Billy's here. If Billy goes, hey, I'm catching a cab, I would have changed into some kind of,
You would have thrown that jacket on a roof, closest roof.
I'm throwing on
throwing
a
it on
Misfits t-shirt, pulling a stocking cap down,
lighting incense.
My fake dreads. All right, it's time to pause to piss. This might be a 4 episode. It might be a 2 episode. I don't know. I don't know your patience level. But either way, we have to piss and refresh our cocktails. This is Doug Stanhope, between 7 and 14 cocktails in, along with the Alaska crowd. All right, and that was part 2 of the Alaska podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, I am sponsored by me. So go buy tickets to my show, or buy a DVD or a CD, or go get a download at iTunes. Doug Stanhope. Google it. Stay tuned for 3 on the Doug Stanhope podcast. Play the Matoid.
Party time.
You've been listening to the Doug Stanhope podcast, recorded live in Anchorage, Alaska, in Matt Becker's backyard bus. Intro music by Miska Shubali, Party Time by the Matoid, both available on iTunes. This episode featured Doug Stanhope, Matt Becker, Doran Powell, Billy Bad, and Greg Chaille. Engineered by me, Chaille. If you like the podcast, take a moment to rate it on iTunes. It really helps us out. Stay tuned for Alaska Stories Part 3, out real soon. Really, thanks for listening.
Laugh your laughs and heat your heats. It's party time. Smile your smiles and blue your blues. It's party time. There. Dance your dance and shoe your shoes. It's party time. Howl your howls and sock your socks. It's party time. Yeah. Oh baby, grab your craps and fuck your fox. It's party time. Grab your craps and fuck your fox. It's party time. Everybody, grab your craps and fuck your fox. It's party time. One more. Grab your craps and fuck your fox. It's party time. Here we go. Party time. Yeah. Party time. Party time. Yeah. Party time. 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 Hey.